Hey, welcome back to Coffee Time. Yeah, new setting. I wanted to do this also for the first episode, but turns out that working with natural light is complicated, and I needed a bit more time to figure out how to set everything up. And I'm still experimenting. But anyway, let's talk about a very nice thing about the Z community that I would like to highlight. But to get there, I would like to start by talking about water cooler complaints. So let me tell you a story. I remember before COVID, back when I had a normal development job, I would go to the office every day, and part of my routine was also going to the break room where the coffee machine and the water cooler was. And I would grab a cup of coffee and chat with some colleagues and complain about management, complain about project direction, complain about frameworks because they were stupid and I hated them and we should have used a better alternative. Um, Now, if you're watching this video, I think there are very good chances that you know what I'm talking about. Maybe because you've seen other people do it or you've done it yourself. Um, and to be fair, I think that I still to this day, I think that my complaints were correct. Like, I think that I was right in seeing certain problems within management, etc., etc. The problem is that these are water coolant complaints in my mind because they are complaints about things that you cannot fix. When you are a developer, you cannot change management. Same with project direction. Like again, it's either management, it's the business, or it's the client, or it's whoever is paying for the thing to be made, who can decide what the project direction is. So, um, so these complaints about things that you cannot fix are are problematic. Like I get it. That was my situation also at the time. Like you do what you have to do to survive, right? Like it's your job. It is what it is. But here's where the problem is, in my opinion. I think that it very often in software development we tend to transport this attitude also to our online communities. And in the case of Z, like it's an open source community, right? It's an open source project. And I think that this behavior is very, very bad when transferred online because what can be a copy mechanism, I guess, for your day job, it absolutely has no sense when you do it in an online community. Here's what I mean more precisely. Or rather, let me switch now and address the problem from the other end of the spectrum. So one very nice thing about the Z community, which it's not just my opinion, I've seen plenty of comments on Hacker News and other social outlets whenever there's something new about Zig, and everybody keeps saying that Zig has an amazing energy, and that like you can feel it when you know read the issues on GitHub, look at the release notes, interact with people on Discord, IRC, etc. So what these people mean is, in a sense, this idea, this feeling that we are making progress, we are changing things and making things better, we are fixing things as we move forward. Now you can see how this is very much in contrast with the what's the right word? I think impotence, but I'm not sure if that word in English has a different meaning. Let's say powerlessness. So it's very different. Like it's empowering knowing that yes, there's a problem and boom, we fix it. Versus yeah, there's a problem. There's nothing we can do about it except complain while drinking coffee. Now that is not to say that we don't complain in the community or that I'm advocating for avoiding complaints. No, absolutely. You can hear me complain all the time. I complain very loudly about open source direction, how certain projects are structured, the things that they do, how open source interacts with big tech. You can also hear Andrew complain. If you look at the last release notes for version 0.8, you will find in there him complaining about how the latest release of LLVM happened. And the same also applies to every other major contributor. So everybody complains. But here's the key. Here's why these are not water cooler complaints. And what makes those complaints, in my opinion, drastically better than water cooler complaints. We are all complaining about things that we are working actively to fix. And that is a world, like it's a gigantic difference. Because, first of all, complaining about something that you cannot fix or that you are not working to fix makes your complaint probably wrong, because you can maybe see the result and you can correctly notice that these end results should not happen. But if you're not working on the thing, you are probably oblivious of all the mechanisms that made this end result happen. So complaining about something without understanding its mechanics, it's not great. And also, in an online community, there's lots of people. Chances are that somebody that knows a bit more about that domain than you will see your complaints and will notice that they're not that great. So that's one point. The second point is that these are complaints, water cooler complaints. Also, nothing ever happens because you're not working to fix the thing, right? So it's a complaint that never goes away. While when you are complaining about something you're trying to fix, you understand the mechanics. Your complaints have a much higher chance of being correct complaints. You're not just complaining about the end result, but you understand well enough the mechanics to understand what is the thing that needs to be fixed so that the end result changes. And also, it's a type of complaint where there's a payoff at the end. Yes, you're complaining, but then we are all together seeing the problem being solved, and that helps you win over, other contributors that want to help you. Or more in general, the community will celebrate with you whenever you get a victory over the problem. So. This second type of complaint, like complaints about things that you are trying to fix, are actually the type of complaints that I like hearing about. Let me just maybe give a couple of examples. I don't want to call anybody out, but I would really like to provide concrete examples of things that I heard. So I mentioned good complaints, all right? People working on fixing a problem and they complain when doing so. Let's talk about bad complaints. Again, I don't want to call anybody out, but just to share some concrete examples. One example of this is complaining about web development. Oh, web development is broken. JavaScript sucks. The web is slow and bloated. Electron sucks. I mean, yeah, I guess. Sure. Are you doing anything to fix it? Do you know why we got to this point? I almost never see people making this type of complaints being actually invested into fixing this. And again, a complaint when you have no skin in the game, it's a weak complaint. I'm sorry. It really comes across as a weak complaint. Like where you instead somebody invested who understands the things and is working toward fixing it, man, your complaints carry so much more punch to them. It's a world of difference. Another type of complaint that I've seen in this is I think I've seen more in the Z community than the web one, is about maybe non-technical things, like about how big tech is bad, and how economic incentives are all over the place and everything is wrong. And I mean, yeah, sure, I guess. Yes, venture capital is a problem. I've been complaining about this myself, but I think that like there is a scope that I believe we have a right to complain about, because we are an alternative. We are working to do things in a different way. The Zig project doesn't have any venture capital, for example. But at the same time, none of us is a economist. We are not taking on, I don't know, the dominant economic model in the Western world. And so, you know, these start becoming water cooler complaints because nobody is working to fix that. None of us probably has the competence to really understand why things are the way they are, and even less the ability to fix that. So,
Hey, Editor Loris here. There is one thing that I forgot to say while recording the video. So yes, I do believe that there are some complaints that are just bad because you're not working to fix the problem, you don't know enough, and so your complaints end up being not that great and kind of useless, and they just drag everybody down. But if you want to be able to complain about more things, you should just work on your skills. The more you learn how to do things, the more things you actually do have a right to complain about. So don't think of this video as just somebody telling you, oh, you should not just complain about these things, you should just accept them. No, not at all. All I'm saying is that there should be your ability to do things should match the level of your complaints. And if you want to complain more, learn to do more things so that you can complain correctly about more things and hopefully even fix them. So yeah, that's it. Let's go back to the video.
I don't know, just keep that in mind. I think that doing more of the right kind of complaints will help us collectively have a better time in the community, will make us more effective because, you know, you complain about something, you get a win, people see that, they want to try that too. So they also start working on something, they have their own pet peeve that they want to fix, and we collaborate more. And so I think that understanding the difference between these two classes of complaints is the key to achieving even higher momentum in the project. And I think that's great. I'll try actively to be more aware of how my complaints are precisely and how they come across. And I think we should really, and I think that's also a good metric for understanding other communities. We've seen, for example, we had an interview with Abner where Abner pointed out that some complaints in the handmade community can be constructive and other can be less constructive. And now that I've gone through this process of thinking, how can I have a rule of thumb between complaints that I think are good and complaints that I think are less good? And I think that the water cooler complaint metric is correct. Now, I'll just conclude by saying that in hindsight, complaining at the water cooler wasn't the best move on my part in my previous jobs. I understand why I did it, and again, I still think that I was right about my complaints. But it's one of those things where you keep doing the thing that makes you feel a little bit good, but it has a small chance of stopping you from searching something better, which I believe, like complaining at the water cooler is not going to help you fix anything. You probably want to do a little bit less of that and a little bit more of something else. Maybe, I don't know, search for another job, understand better the dynamics between your managers, stuff like this. Anyway, thank you for listening. If anybody has any question, please put it in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer questions. And otherwise, you can also find me in the Zig Showtime Discord server where we can chat more about these topics. And otherwise, I'll make another video about something else that comes to my mind. So thank you very much and catch you on the next one.